Hello YouTube, welcome back to a brand new video. My name is Kevin and this is the Red Pilled American. So I'm doing a new video talking about globalism and what it is. I will be doing more videos on this topic because it's an important topic people need to be informed on, and there's just a lot to talk about it. So I want to do a little bit more of a series on this. But right now I'm going to talk just a little bit about what it is and why I think the whole ideology is evil and why people need to be aware of it. So but first so right now the information I'm getting it from is a new search engine that was set up by Elon Musk called Grok, Grok. It's supposed to be an alternative to Google, more secure, better information, and doesn't hide things, so it's a lot easier to get less bias. You get less bias, algorithm, so you can find more fairer news better, while Google likes to hide things and make it harder to find, or sometimes outright delete things they don't want out there. So yeah, I would check that out as an alternative, and you don't need an X account for it, so that's nice. So here's what globalism is. And globalism, why I think it's bad. So here it is. So globalism refers to the interconnectedness and integration of economies, culture, and political systems across the world, often driven by trade, technology, and communication. It emphasizes cooperation and interdependence among nations. So nations are kind of working together on the same goals, sometimes at the expense of national sovereignty. Critics argue it can erode local cultures and prioritizes corporate interests, while supporters see it as fostering peace, innovation, and economic growth. So, the term is often conflated with globalization, but globalism carries a more ideological tone, implying a deliberate push towards global unity or governance. Context matters. Some view it as a neutral process, others as a political agenda. So yeah, that's a little over what globalism is. And you might argue, because a lot of times globalism's the policies are focused on like the GDP, innovation. I guess on the surface those aren't bad, but like the stuff you see that, like what the UN is trying to do and trying to force, what they're trying to work on and stuff, I think is evil, what they're doing. So, we should not be unifying with any nations that want to do clearly evil. So, no, innovation's not always a good thing either. So, especially with some of the stuff I'm seeing on AI, yeah, no. So here's some examples of globalism policies and just examples that you see a lot. So, international trade agreements, multinational corporations like Apple and Amazon, they expand globally. Even Walmart and McDonald's are kind of globally now more. Global institutions like the United Nations, World Bank, the World Trade Organization. I think you can even consider the World Health Organization as global institutions and stuff. They have culture exchange, like the spread of Hollywood. It says fast food chains like McDonald's. They're still multinational corporation though, because they're huge. So yeah. Then you have climate agreements, like for example, the Paris Agreement, which was garbage, by the way. Might have to do a video on that sometime, why that was a scam. I know Trump didn't want to do anything to do with it, but I'll have to do something another time on that. But yes, climate agreements, migration, yeah, a lot more accepting towards migrants, and technology standards like Universal Protocol, 5G networks. So those are examples of globalism. So these, you can say these reflect efforts or trends towards global cooperation and integration and standardization through their impacts are debated. So I mean, and here's why trade agreements, even here it admits that the whole point of, you know, of the trade agreements, like for example, NAFTA or the Trans-Pacific Partnership, was to reduce trade barriers, which that's one thing Trump worked on, that these trade barriers, reducing trade barriers basically means removing potential replacement protections to keep our jobs here. And so, yes, that right there is already is why I think some of these trade deals is bad. Not protecting your jobs and just outsourcing them, allowing the workers here to be exploited by bad trade deals like China and the United Nations and stuff. So yeah. Also, these corporations that become like a government, they lobby these politicians, all these countries, to shill for their special interest. And on top of that, they want to expand while they want to try to dictate what we can say and think here. So, so yeah. So those are examples. So just want to go a little bit more on it, and so yeah. So looking at it, I don't see much good on it. I really don't see much good on it other than innovation. I suppose you can work with some companies for a common goal if it's good. I guess that's globalization on those things, but it's like, and economic growth is good, but I don't think it should ever surpass our sovereignty and or supersede our national identity, which our ruling class has sold us out to these people. So, unfortunately, both parties are owned by globalist leaderships. The GOP, Trump's trying to move the GOP in a more nationalist, nativistic direction, but that's generally why a lot of the Republicans even hate Trump, because he's anti-globalism more. And well, the Democrats, well, we don't have to talk about them. They're totally America last. In fact, I should say America never, because they do nothing for America ever. So here's examples of why I believe it's evil, and why it's such a disaster. So here's an example. So I mean, it says globalism can hurt for a few reasons. It often shafts workers in developed countries. Think factory jobs vanishing to cheap labor market like China or Bangladesh. The U.S. lost about 5 million manufacturing jobs from 2000 to 2015 per the Bureau of Labor Statistics, largely due to trade liberalization. It can erode national sovereignty. Global institutions like the IMF and WTO, I think that's the World Trade Organization, I believe, yep, can pressure countries into policies that don't align with local needs or values. So yes, and you see that here with these corporations and how our politicians are serving these special interests. So it's a really bad ideology, because you have these multi-corporations that are doing a lot of the lobbying. They want their special interests, and ends up ignoring the will of the people. And really the big part of globalism is really to abolish sovereignty and open borders. That's generally their biggest goal, and their whole goal eventually is a more of a one world government. And I know people are going to say, well, neoliberal globalism has more capitalism. Well, here's the thing. Just because you have capitalism does not mean you don't have tyranny. You can have tyranny, but you can have bad capitalism too. Which I think usually neoliberalism is the economic system in globalism, but that will be a topic for another day. But yes, I just think, immigration's the biggest one though. Globalism is the idea or system increasing to interconnectedness between nations through trade, communication, culture, and politics. It promotes free markets, open borders, and supranational institutions. In fact, I think an open borders and free market is the most disastrous system you can have. Now, the problem is we don't have a free market. That's just a lie. we don't have a free market. It's a rigged market that goes to the worst people. I mean, look how our working class people here are treated. So I don't know, this whole free market stuff. I don't know. It's kind of a buzzword to me because, I mean, what does that mean? I think free markets kind of lost its meaning. I think businesses should control the economy and expand growth and jobs, but they should not be like a government, which a lot of ways I think they become like a government. So that's just my take. So, but you're seeing all over Europe what a disaster globalism has had on in Europe, especially particularly with immigration. You know, because here's the thing, globalists see everybody as the same. They want some sort of unity. They want all cultures to be together in the same location, and they think everyone's going to get along, and they don't expect anything bad to happen. Look at Europe right now. Europe's a disaster because they admit people that don't share their culture, and then they get overrun by these people. And here, so yes, so yeah, I think globalism is evil largely because the goal is to remove national sovereignty. And if you listen to some hardcore globalists, they actually don't believe America is a nation. They just don't. We're just a piece of land to them, and they only see America as an economic zone for their own benefit, so to get rich off of. So yes. So anyway, that's a little overview on globalism. Again, it's a big topic, so I'm kind of gonna break it down into small segments. That's why on my next video I'm going to be talking a little bit about neoliberalism, because it also goes hand in hand with globalism on why this economic system is also not good. So anyway, I'll do that another time, but this is what globalism is. I'm going to try to expose more of it as time goes on, because I think people need to be aware of it, because anyway, so that's all I have for you today. If you like this video, please like, and if you like this channel, please subscribe and hit the bell for notifications. Yeah, so thank you all and have a good night.